Hey, it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
Hello all and welcome to Kino Kingdom 124. We do apologize for any audio issues on my behalf because the program we use, it's like buying a third-hand lawnmower off an old woman who keeps on saying that her son fixed it once. So like, oh, well, you fixed what? What's the problem? But then she dies in front of you, so you'll never know what the problem was, but you've got the lawnmower.
We've all been there.
Yes, so it's been tedious. I tell you what else is tedious is that Sam Neill has died recently.
That is very tiresome, isn't
It
it?
wasn't the news I like to read about because I remember I've got his I think it's an autobiography here, and I remember reading it and it said that he had like blood cancer and then he sort of beat that in April and then a few months I thought, oh wicked, here we go, another 10-20 years of Sam, and then a few months later he passed away and I thought, well, that's unfair, that is. I mean, a lot of things in life are unfair, in all fairness, but yeah, there's definitely no God. If anyone listening is wondering, there's absolutely no God.
Just to make that, clear that up straight away.
Yeah, let's not get sidetracked. So yeah, it's have you both been on a bit of a Sam Neill bent yet, or?
I watched a Sam Neill film, and it's probably not the one anyone would expect.
In the Month of Madness, was it?
I watched that.
Oh, did you? Excellent, good work. I've seen that before. No, I watched Bicentennial Man, so I'll tell you all about that.
Oof.
Is that the? Well, hang on. Is that the Robin Williams one?
Yes.
What's Iron Giant then?
That is an animation based on a children's book.
I really should know more doing this podcast, just getting things mixed up. Yeah. So no one watched Jurassic Park then?
No. I did watch the Omen 3, The Final Conflict.
Oh, did you?
Well. Yeah.
I had my eye on that, good. But I thought I haven't seen the Omen 2.
Well, I haven't either, so I just skipped. I might go back for it.
I In the Mouth of Madness is the one that I reach for.
It's the key.
In these times. Yeah, there's something about his performance is so unhinged in that. And I guess in Omen 3, he's hardly going to be sitting there like slapping his thigh and sipping tea. He's going to be full on, isn't he? Francois Foulon.
Is Charlton Heston in Mouth of Madness? I just imagine that.
Yes, he is.
Is he like agent or something?
Yeah, he's the book company manager, sort of thing, like the publisher.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
I just realized as well, just to really top this off, that I don't know how to mute my headphones that I'm using now.
All right. So we're going to hear everything.
I'm so happy. Tears streaming down my face.
But on the display on the screen, you just click on the audio button and it mutes it, isn't it?
Is it? Let's try.
There you go.
That was successful.
Oh, thank God. Honestly, I was almost going to tear my eyes out then. Event Horizon, but I thought better of it. So.
Whereas my microphone is so good, I've had to turn my fan off. So now I'm just sweating. So no one's happy today.
No one, yeah. This is one of those. It's going to be really. Hopefully, we've got a load of mid-length films as well. Because I was facing, do you want the big fan? And I said, oh no, it'll be noisy. You take it. The second she took it, I sat and I thought, well, I'm going to melt on. I am a dead man. This is the final one. And then the microphone problems, and if
it helps, I'm sitting here in my pants, quite content actually. So
really,
yeah, I'm absolutely fine. But I'm permanently miserable, so I balance it out.
You say pants, careful now, because obviously we've got American listeners. So you should not
boxer shorts.
You're not in your core blimeys.
No. Yeah, I'm I'm not actually sure what core blimeys are, but I am sitting here in boxer shorts. Yes, because it is too. I am on a leather chair though, so I'm sticking to it.
I'm really glad. Your boxer shorts, have you slammed the brakes on, or are they fresh out the drawer. Anyway, let's not get too far down this road. Call Blimeys, it's a fantastic term. You know, my old man's a dustman, he wears it. Again, American listeners do apologize, realize you're a biggest market, but sometimes you gotta pull your pants up, haven't you, and keep up. So, you know, like, my old man's a dustman, he wears a dustman's hat, dun. Well, there's a part in that song where I watched the Bee Gees cover it, and I thought, I'm sure they said he wears core blimey trousers. And I read up on this, and it's a very British working class thing where they used to, like, trousers that were in such bad condition that they wore to, like, down the mines, like really ripped and torn and burned and stuff. So if you put them on, if you were like, oh, you come in on the pub, and it's like, I can't, I've only got my core blimeys, because that's what people would say if they saw you wearing them. Like, oh, blimey, he's wearing those. So I've, on and off over the last, like, 5 years, referred to any clothing of mine as core blimeys.
That's really good, actually, because you could apply it to any item of clothing, really, couldn't you? That was just in a distressed state.
Yeah, you got like a button off your shirt, you're like, oh, this is a core blimey now. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, if you look in your boxes, you've got a big skid at the back. The core blimeys, mate, down to the bone.
You'd think core blimeys would be your fancy clothes. You're like, oh, core blimey, look at that lovely shirt.
I suppose core blimey is an exclamation of shock, isn't it? Like, if you imagine, if I said to you, oh, I went on a date the other night and we got back to her room and I pulled down my boxers and she looked at my penis and said, core blimey. I suppose it would be in how it was delivered. If she went, core blimey, then you'd be like, and you'd pull them back up and back out of the room. But yeah, if she went, core blimey. Yeah, I suppose it's in the delivery of it.
Yeah.
We are going slightly off topic here. I do agree. So, Sam Neill.
Welcome to Core Blimey Kingdom.
Yeah, we should call it Core Blimey. That's clearly what this episode is going to be called. But yes, so yeah, Sam Neill, we love and miss you. I haven't watched to be honest, I haven't watched many films because I'm now deep into season 4 of The Mentalist. I've got to the point where I'm like pissing myself off. So I want it to be done now. So I've got another 2 seasons, then I can put this farce behind me.
2 seasons.
I know,
not 2 episodes.
Are they long seasons as well?
Yeah, 24 episodes is an American show. So yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of them, you know, they do the setup. I fast forward to the ending. That's like I just, the bit in the middle doesn't interest me as much as it should. But and this is going to be awkward as well because now I'm going to play something that amused me that our very own Max Hilarity sent. It was an impression of David Attenborough that has been tickling me all week, so I'm just going to play this for the listeners. Let me just.
Here we see the male caterpillar looking on as the female removes her silk stockings one by one. Just 3 short years later, they're ready to consummate their love.
I thought that was brilliant. It's been making me laugh for a long time. So that's a little treat from Max Hilarity. But to prove how awful my life is, I'm going to talk about a film I watched from 1993 starring Dolph Lundgren called The Joshua Tree.
This has been on my list for a while.
Oh my God. Dolph Lundgren, right? Like he can be good in things like Big Trouble in Little China where he's miscast, but it's such a ridiculous film that he's this like tree trunk that the film sort of moves around and it oddly works because other people do the heavy lifting.
Dolph Lundgren in Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh no, but I see this episode is the worst episode we've ever done. Big Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, yeah. I watched the director's cut, mate. And in Punisher it kind of works because he's just like a sort of aloof, odd character. That's fine. Lou Gossett Jr. again steals the show. Joshua Tree is a film I remember watching when I was a kid, and I thought it's a cool cover because it's like him in a tight shirt, jeans on, boots, obviously here in the desert. What else are you going to be wearing? And he hasn't got core blimeys on, let me tell you. And like with a shotgun. But this film, it starts off, and his name is Tony Sante or Santi, and he's in prison, and he's framed for killing a cop. And at the start of the film, they're sort of transporting him between prisons. And the prison guards say, "I'll come out and have a pee in the middle of the desert where there's no one around." And he knows they're just going to shoot him, so he sort of escapes. And then the film is him trying to clear his name. which could be quite exciting. The Nevada California border. A lot of driving around dusty tracks and stuff. But it's such a boring film. It's like it's trying to be as boring as possible. It's directed by Vic Armstrong, who I think is a stuntman.
Oh yeah, he's Harrison Ford's stunt double for many years, I think, and I think a stunt coordinator as well.
Well, there are moments in this film where the at the start, when he sort of initially makes his escape and he takes a state trooper hostage, and Shield naturally drives it's like a borderline monster truck thing. So they're driving around, skidding around the desert, and that's kind of cool. But he's so aloof and doesn't give any information to her. Like, she's just saying, "Why are you doing this? I might be able to help." And he's just sort of just not talking to her. And then they drive around and they go to visit. The script is so bad. They go to visit this old man who's clearly his father, right? Clearly his father. And he's sort of fixing the truck, and he keeps on calling him old man. And this old bloke talks about his mother, and he says, "Don't talk about my mother." And then she goes to the toilet, the woman he's got captive, and she sees that this old man has kept a load of clippings of Sante's youth when he was a race car driver before he got arrested. It's clearly his father. And then when they're in the car, she's like, "Oh, who is that old guy?" And he's like, "No one. Just my dad." And then they drive off as if, oh, what a reveal. And that's the level it works at through the whole thing. And as it's unveiling itself and you find out about these corrupt bloody cops, I just thought, my God, this is so boring. Because most of the film is just them, people either turning up at sort of areas after they've gone and just talking about what's happening, or her asking him questions and him not responding or just glancing at her. And it's just unfathomably boring. And yeah, I got to the end.
Not so much aloof as just dull.
Yeah, like it's like because he can come across like that, can't he? Dolph Lundgren. He does this sort of stoic, silent type, but it comes across like he's just a bit thick.
Yeah, because he's got a sort of a permanent sneer going on, isn't he?
He's like a sulky eyes.
Mm.
And yeah, this is probably the worst Dolph Lundgren film I've ever seen, and I've seen Johnny Mnemonic.
You've also seen that one where he's sat on a roof.
Silent Trigger, 1996.
Yeah, that's also on my list. Maybe I should avoid.
Literally, I described the whole plot to Sam.
But it's him sat on a roof, looking at a pier, and a woman saying, "You don't want to shoot this bloke, do you?" And then him refusing to answer her. It's not
sneering.
It's not sneering slightly, yeah, and talking like he's got a slight cold that he can't shift, a la Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. So yeah,
and
it's
Millie
not
Bobby Brown.
Yeah, she talks like she's just eaten a load of beans and chocolate. So yeah, it's not good. It's like an old man's voice. That's what happens to old men, isn't it? They just sound like they constantly need a drink. So yeah, I need to stop talking before I kill myself, because I like talking about Joshua Tree and like all the technical problems. I can't do anything else. I need to be quiet for a bit. What an awful day.
On the subject of Dolph Lundgren, I really want to revisit Blackjack, which was like a straight-to-video film, weirdly directed by John Woo with him, and he's allergic to like the color white, so he's like scared of milk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What a concept!
Yeah,
that's the one. This isn't giving anything away, but I just remember the ending, like fight of that film is him walking around a room with like white sheets, and he's going as the bad guy over at Tannoy says, "Bunny rabbits, double cream," and he's like, "Oh god." I thought this isn't. It's almost as bizarre as that film I watched with Richard E. Grant, where he's after a child killer, and the sort of final confrontation is them on a riverbank as the killer's got a gun to the kid's head, and Richard E. Grant just starts singing nursery rhymes at him. And then the bad guy starts singing them back, and I thought, I didn't think the film would take this turn, to be honest. I thought he would disarm him, but no, they're just singing at each other. How many fights have you been in where you burst into song?
Well, not that many. Certainly not nursery rhymes.
No. I on this subject, I did watch Heat, which my actual cousin John reviewed last week, where he talks a guy to death at the end of the film.
Right.
So that was
How does
exciting
that work?
stuff.
How does he actually talk him to death? Because that intrigued me about.
It's hilarious. Like, he's snuck into the bad guy's penthouse, and he's just talking, like, intimidating things to him. He's hiding under like a pool table, like, and on reflection in plain sight. But anyway, the guy's like, "Where are you?" And he's sort of shooting wildly around the place, and he just keeps telling him how, like, badly he's going to kill him and stuff, and then he blows his own brains out instead of facing the man hiding under his pool
drives
table.
him to suicide.
Yeah.
The thing is, how big is this room? Because I was in a hotel on the weekend and I played hide and seek in a twin Travelodge room with my son, and there's not many places you can hide in that situation.
It's limited, isn't it?
Yeah, because
this is it. When you reveal, like, you keep showing Burt Reynolds hiding under the pool table, but then when he stands up, he is clearly visible to the guy. He's right in front of him, really. And he's just talking, so he just, like, uses his ears and go, "Oh yeah, there you are. You're 2 meters away from me."
It's lucky, really, that the guy who the gangster who owned that pool table bought a sort of one for consumer use and not commercial use, because then it would have, like, the change box and it would be lower to the ground so it can hold all the balls, so he wouldn't be able to get under it, and he would have just had to, like, sit behind it awkwardly, which would have
just scoot around it.
Walk around it, like, scoot around as the guy walks around the table.
Down and scoot.
This guy was so bad at looking for him. He could have just laid out on top of it, like, with his legs apart and, doing a dance or something.
Pretended to be a ball.
Yeah. But
are you in here pretending to be a robot?
I will say, in Heat, there's also a bit where he kicks a guy in the balls until he dies, which I quite enjoyed. And another bit where he throws petrol on a guy and then he, like, does a jump kick and he kicks out the light bulb above him, so the sparks then ignite him.
Burt Reynolds
is contrived.
Burt Reynolds. It may or may not be Burt Reynolds who does the fly kick move. But those were the only good bits in the whole film. The rest of it was absolute dog shit, as my cousin John very correctly pointed out.
Your actual cousin John. It reminds me of, like, bits in films where someone has a trail of petrol leading off to a car and they throw a match, and you think he's throwing a match, you think that's gonna go out, that is.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make it, I'm afraid. Yeah. But I suppose if they tutty down, if the good guy tutties down and then flicks a bit to get a flame going, it's not as dynamic as someone, like, throwing a match. Yeah, the tutty down. I went to school with her. Lovely girl. So who's next then? I'm fed up with looking at Joshua Tree on my screen.
I'm easy. How many movies have you got, Laz?
Well, scratching Heat off the list. I could say more about it, but it's been done. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You better kick things off, hadn't you?
Okay. I'll talk about Fled, which is a 1996 action film directed by Kevin Hooks, which was a name that I recognized. And I looked him up. He's sort of a journeyman director who's done countless famous television shows, and he's still working today. But he also directed Passenger 57 and Black Dog, which we watched a couple of months ago, which, like that film, this has got some quite nice car chasey practical stunts.
That was the Swayze one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fled is a film I'm really familiar with. It's one of those films I watched over and over again in my teens, and I think it's one of the first movies I watched with Rupert when we had, like, a film night over his house. So I'm really, really familiar with Fled. So I'm looking forward to this.
I've seen it around, like, forever, but I've never watched it. I don't know why. So now was the time.
Good.
Yeah, and I enjoyed this quite a bit. It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it and Stephen Baldwin when he was a thing, and Salma Hayek in an early role. And it's quite hit and miss, but the basic premise of it is that they are two escaped convicts who are embroiled in a botched prison breakout / hit job, and go on the run to try and clear their names whilst evading the authorities and murderous bad guys. What I wasn't expecting from it is that there's a surprising amount of plot. So, like, at the beginning, the first act basically is them on the run, chained together, and that makes for some quite entertaining kind of bickering and on the run action where they're forced to work together, even though they absolutely hate each other. And I was like, okay, this is quite a fun concept, and they're obviously going to kind of have to function as a unit to get through all this. But then after about, I don't know, the first 20 minutes, they cut the chain and they go their separate ways. I was like, oh, okay. And then they both get embroiled in their own subplots where one of them has got like a disc for like a high-tech company where he's stolen their secrets or something. So there's people trying to kill him. And then Lawrence Fishburne, I won't give it away, but he's got his own kind of twist on his character. And it felt like there's too much going on and not enough, just like it was better when it was kept things simpler, I think. But yeah, it was just kind of good, fun, silly nonsense, really. Pretty generic. Yeah. And it kind of, there's some bits where it's tonally a little bit weird, I would say. And there's bits like where Stephen Baldwin goes through some drama and then tries to deliver some actual dramatic acting, which isn't his strongest suit.
No.
But it had a decent budget behind it, and there's a good sort of run of shootouts and car chases, and Lawrence Fishburne is good. Salma Hayek tries to inject some spark into a role which essentially requires her to immediately fall in love with a violent escaped convict.
Sounds likely.
Yeah.
There are two bits in this film that really stand out for me. One of them, three actually, but one's a spoiler, so I'll skip it. First bit is when they're chained together at the start by their legs and arms, and they're running away, Lawrence Fishburne and Stephen Baldwin, and they're being chased by like specialist police with dogs through like really rough terrain, like a riverside with all gravel and like sort of sparse trees everywhere. And they're running, and they stop, and all of a sudden, Lawrence Fishburne, and you know what I'm going to say, Lazlo, he turns around. And he says, look, I was raised by a janitor in my high school called like Tyrus. And he taught me that everything is a rhythm. Bearing in mind the dogs and police are hunting them down as he's saying this. They're like meters behind them. Everything beats to rhythm. You make love to rhythm. Your heart beats to rhythm. And then he pulls out a golden harmonica from his pocket that he'd obviously had in prison. Why wouldn't he? And starts playing like a jaunty tune on it and says, this is the rhythm, convict. And then he goes, dun 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 dun. And then they like run off in perfect tandem. And I think that might have been a scene that was cut from Little House on the Prairie there by accident and inserted, wasn't it?
Wow.
And also a bit later on where oh my god, what was I going to say? There's a spoiler, and there's another bit later on. This escaped me now, and that's going to really piss me off. But yeah, there's just a couple of bits in the film you think, what is happening with this film? Will Patton's in it as well, whistling his way down the M4, trying to catch them. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to have a quick look.
He's got an amazing hair in this as well. It's like a mullet, but like really thin on the top.
Really thick at the back and heavy.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. What? Oh yeah, that's right. It's when the bad guys catch up with Stephen Baldwin before Stephen Baldwin went completely bonkers. And it's like this Cuban guy comes in and he opens this case of all these knives and he says, "Oh yes, you're going to tell me what I need to know. I'm going to kill you by the death of 1,000 cuts, each one tiny, barely noticeable. But in the end, you will die." And then he picks up a knife and slashes him across the chest, like from like tit to tit. And Steve Baldwin goes, "Jesus fucking Christ!" And he just starts pissing blood. And I thought, I don't think you'll get to 1,000 of those. I think you may get to about 6 or 7, to be honest. So that was really funny as well. So it's a really rewatchable film, like one of the films I'm going to talk about in a bit. But I do have a soft spot for Fled.
Yeah, I'd quite happily sit through it again some point.
I feel like it's a film that is better with a group.
Yeah.
Because things happen and someone has to pause and say, hang on. And then just sort of repeat what you've just seen, just for it to really sink into everyone.
Yeah. And there were like moments of sort of outlandish violence where I was like, and I would look to Nick and she was not interested in the slightest. You need your support there to enjoy these things.
You need your wingman.
Sometimes.
Nick, by the way, listeners, is one of Lazlo's feet that he's drawn a smiley face on.
In this instance, it was a face that looked completely impassive rather than smiling.
See a passive face. Imagine it'd be such a bad Punch and Judy show if you just had kids gathered round and you pulled up your hands and they both got white socks on and they both just got like straight lines and they just look at each other and look away and never comment. And it's just it's philosophical. The kids have to imagine what they would be saying in this like failing marriage between them where they refuse to sort of contact each other in any way. I don't think it would last, to be honest.
I don't know. I think it'd bring the crowds to Blackpool. Right.
And that was on Amazon Prime. If anyone's interested,
they should be.
Everything should be
where it belongs.
Right. We will talk about the Odyssey at some point, but I feel like I should talk about a Sam Neill film. So I'll talk about Bicentennial Man, which is on Netflix. Because I've never seen it. It's made in 1999. It's a light drama directed by Christopher Columbus, based on Isaac Asimov's novel The Positronic Man. It cost $100 million to make, which is about $200 million today, by the way. And it was a flop. It's a baffling film. It's not without ambition, I suppose. Yeah, anyway, let's go through the plot because I think that will probably tell you everything. Right, Sam Neill, the late Sam Neill, plays a wealthy patriarch who purchases an android to help out his family and maintain his home. And I think Sam Neill is quite well cast in this film because he has that kind of authority and maturity and that, but also that crooked smile with a twinkle in his eye. It's got all that going on. And so the first section is mostly an extended fish out of water kind of mild comedy as the family adjusts to the presence of this robot. The robot is played by Robin Williams, and whoever thought it was a good idea to put Robin Williams in a robot suit and make him unable to physically emote and give him a robot voice, completely removing all aspects of expression or personality from his performance. Just brilliant. Give that person a raise.
Wow. Did they think he could compensate for that? Like they were like, oh shit, we really get somebody really like vocally animated for this.
I vaguely want to go back and see the original trailer for this movie because I wonder if in the trailer they make it clear that you do actually get to see the real Robin Williams at one point. Because if you went into this movie and he just rocked up and you're like, oh, he's literally a robot and he's not putting any emotion into his voice. But I'll continue because it will become apparent where this film is fucking going. So there are some vaguely interesting moments near the start of the film where it acknowledges the kind of creepiness of the robot. And it felt a little bit like the first section of Spielberg's AI, which came out like a year later and was just better. But there's this whole subplot where Sam Neill's character approaches the tech CEO of the company that makes the robot and mentions that the robot is going beyond his programming. He's becoming kind of unique. And the evil CEO, his big concern is that the robot might be able to think for himself. And I found this interesting because it's kind of the inverse of the actual situation we have now, where tech companies couldn't give a hoot about their products going beyond their purpose. And if anything, it's we common folk who kind of want limits on AI technology. So it's quite interesting. But anyway, the story jumps forward 20 years and suddenly they're discussing whether Andrew the robot should be paid for his labor. And it's setting up the second half of the film, which is about him wanting to become human. And here it introduces a subplot where one of Sam Neill's daughters is considering refusing the proposal of her boyfriend because she's romantically attracted to this robot. Okay, keep that in mind. Then it jumps forward another 12 years and the robot really wants his freedom. And ironically, the dialogue around this whole quite boring discussion is completely robotic and sounds like it was written by AI. Then it jumps forward another 16 years, and Sam Neill's character is dying, surrounded by his family, and that was quite moving given the recent news. And at this point, Andrew the robot he wants to find his own kind, so he hits the road, and we get some quite cool shots of various futuristic US cities with flying cars and stuff. So that bit was good. He then goes to like a robot engineer, played with surprising restraint by Oliver Platt, and he finally gets Robin Williams' face. And he's thinking the film might actually come alive. But even then, you have to wait until the final 30 minutes before he starts making any jokes. And the creepiness just like ratchets up because the robot is installed with a nervous system so he can feel things. And then he starts courting Sam Neill's great-granddaughter and like forces her to kiss him to test his feelings, as he puts it. And then it doesn't end there. Oliver Platt offers to enable the robot, Andrew the robot, to experience sexual pleasure. And the film kind of wraps it up in some romantic language, but it's just essentially this childlike entity talking about sex in innocent terms. It's really creepy. And then, in classic Hollywood romance style, Andrew the robot then intervenes in Sam Neill's great-granddaughter's wedding and insists that she admit that she loves him, and she does, and then they fuck. So she actually has sex with him. And by this point, I'm just thinking, who is this film for? Because it's not funny enough to be a Robin Williams vehicle, and it's way too long and serious and creepy to entertain kids.
Does she give birth to a half robot, half flesh?
I was vaguely expecting that to happen, but no, thankfully it doesn't. I will
Sadly,
say,
you mean
the one thing that this film does amazing is the aging makeup in this film is amazing, really good. I think it might have even won an Oscar, but not for the script.
Because it didn't trouble it in the other categories.
Yeah, so I can't recommend this film because I don't understand who would enjoy it. So I kind of had a weird, morbid fascination with watching it to the end, but it really isn't a very good film, and it is creepy as hell.
Did they put the money on the screen? Does it feel expensive?
Not really. I mean, other than those few shots of futuristic cities, I mean, it still looks pretty mid-budget, really. I suppose it's quite well done the way they have a full bodysuit over Robin Williams because he's pretty stocky, so that's quite impressive. But I mean, it's basic stuff. It's not like he's really got an expressive face or anything. It's just it's a mask on his face. So yeah, I'm not sure where the money went there, to be honest.
What rating? Because when you said I wasn't sure who this was for, that was my burning question. What rating is it?
I have no idea, actually, thinking about it. I might look it up.
I'm sure it was pitched as a kind of a family-friendly film. Which is why I don't think I've ever watched it. Yeah. Because I just assumed it was a sort of, sweet-natured family comedy film, basically, which is why I've just never bothered.
I mean, it's Chris Columbus, so you'd think they wanted to position it that way. And although it's Buena Vista, doesn't that Disney?
It's a Disney offshoot, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not Disney. That's weird. It's on Netflix.
It's usually when Disney have made something, I think this is the deal with it, and they're like, this is too risky for Disney, so they put it out under Buena Vista.
Which famously happened with Who Framed Roger Rabbit? No, is that right? Or am I thinking of definitely Nightmare Before Christmas wasn't originally, was it? They got a bit scared of that one, didn't they? Anyway, point is, don't know who it's for.
Basically,
I guess it's just generic fantasy fare.
Used to be any films that Disney made and it's got sex in it at some point, or somebody says fuck, and basically
no one says fuck in this. Although
Robin Williams says, "I want to fuck your granddaughter" to Sam Neill.
Please, great granddaughter.
Oh my god.
And weirdly as well, she's played by the same actress as a mother and stuff. It's just I don't know.
She's played by Sam Neill. In a really convincing wig.
Yeah. But they've just like superimposed his face onto an actual woman's body.
Yes. So, oh yeah.
It's just floating around.
Your great granddaughter's got a really impish smile full of charm with a crooked. Can I finally talk about Escape Clause, a TV movie from 1996 starring Andrew McCarthy?
Please, for the love of God, do.
Why not?
This is a 2-minute. I don't know why I put this on. Actually, I do know. I was in the middle of doing something. We're selling some of our like stuff we've got in storage off at the moment, and I thought I need a film I can put on that will like intrigue me. But then I'm like taking pictures of things, typing up descriptions, and blah 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 on Vinted. So I can't be something I actually want to watch. And I said, Andrew McCarthy, click. That'll fill the bill. Because if it's not Night of the Running Man, it's not very good. So I was watching this. This is direct. I won't tell you who directed. I'll tell you that at the end because then Rupert might sort of understand. Like, oh, that's why you watched it. It's about obviously like all great '90s thrillers. It's about an insurance adjuster, Andrew McCarthy, who finds out from a hitman that says, "Oh, by the way, your wife has like paid me 10 grand to kill you. If you like give me more money instead, I'll just either kill her or leave you both alone." And he's like, "What?" And the first 10, 15 minutes in the film are really sort of interesting, where you're wondering, well, is this something Andrew McCarthy set up? Is it his wife, or what's going on here? And there's this initial rush of intrigue. It's in 4x3, don't worry about that. And then, this sort of film, I'm not going to spoil it. There's no need for me to spoil it. And then Paul Sorvino comes in when Andrew McCarthy goes to the police and said, I don't know if my wife has hired a hitman to kill me or not. And I'm having blackouts. And I don't know if I have hired him. I don't know what's happening. And Paul Sorvino basically just minces around, pulling faces at everyone, looking like a potato with a wig on the top. And it just goes on and on. But the middle of the film drags so much, and I think this is a problem with a lot of bad TV movies, where it's just Andrew McCarthy moving from high class social event to social event, just overacting and just having like false seizures and smashing glasses and losing his temper, purely in a bid to create some kind of drama and make us think it might be him. It's also one of the films that suffers from an issue where they live in this palatial mansion and they've got maids, and the husband and wife never see each other, and they just off their daughter to a load of carers and nannies in house. And yet, whenever they meet up, they're talking about like how tight money is. And you think, and arguing like she wants to get a job to help out, and he is saying, "Oh no, and you can't. I'm working. You know how hard I work to." And I thought, there's a medium here, and there's a middle ground here, guys, where you just downsize and you still live like this really like luxurious, happy life, but just not like hissing and hemorrhaging money all the time on stuff you don't need. But of course, the film does not approach that. It's just it's either this ridiculous life or nothing. And it just becomes really irritating. And then you find out who the killer is at the end. And he was explaining like why they're doing these things, and I was just shaking my head, thinking, "Wow, wow, wow." But the middle of the film is so laborious that it's just not. And that, like I say, it's a TV movie problem. I mean, I know there are some people out there who really like Andrew McCarthy. My auntie is one of them. She's always gravitated towards him. But I just think he's in far too many of these just like really forgettable, silly films. So, and the director, Brian Trenchard Smith.
Oh my God!
Who did Day of the Panther and Strike of the Panther,
and please Dead End Drive-In as well,
if you must. So, but it's too. This is something they obviously just did for the cash, because there's nothing about it that's makes you think there's any character in this from anyone involved.
Didn't we discuss Brian Trenchard Smith before? Because like Quentin Tarantino is like a weirdly massive fan of his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't quite fathom that one, but okay.
Do you think?
I guess he does do stunts. He does like stunts. So. Sorry, go on.
I was just wondering, like Andrew McCarthy, like, do you think he made these bad film choices, or like, I just wonder sometimes agents they're so like powerful in Hollywood that they can steer people's careers in one direction or another. They reject artistically merited jobs in favor of the cash jobs because they get more money out of them, basically. But also then they'll guide an actor in what is a good choice and a bad choice for their career. And you just wonder, like, with someone like that who had some hits and, you know, is capable of being sort of charming and he's good looking enough, and yet
careful now
makes what?
Well, because I was watching this, and funny you should say that. And I was watching it, and there's some like really, I say graphic, like intense, I suppose is the word, sex scenes, like 3 or 4 of them. Because that's kind of what happens is when Avery argues, he has these really fierce arguments with his wife, and then they have this sort of quite rigorous intercourse afterwards. And I said to Faye, is he attractive? Because he's got like a really thin face and a weak chin and like Chandler hair. And he said he just looks like he's kind of a bit like the Scream mask. And he's, every time I'm doing the face now, it's like a downturned, his eyebrows bounce up and down, and he's got like a downturned sort of lip, and he's got this like pointy chin, and I thought it doesn't look handsome. So I wasn't getting it. I don't really get it.
What did Faye say?
She just said no. She said he kind of looks a bit like a crap Matthew Perry. I was like, yeah.
Also a bit like what's his name from Grosse Pointe Blank and
John Cusack.
John Cusack, like similar kind of triangular, downturned features.
Yes, not typically handsome.
I think not so much that, but I did think John Cusack was. He's one of those people that looks like he's always dyed his hair, isn't he? It's got like it's like jet black all the time.
I think he gets around it with coolness in a lot of movies, doesn't he?
Yes, he is. Do we all fancy Joan Cusack, or is
Joan Cusack?
Yeah.
Yes, I did back in the day. Yeah, definitely.
And now, or
I have not seen her in many years.
Mate, if you're going to tag out, I'll stay in for both of us. Don't worry about that, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought she was short. She was engrossed by Blank. I thought she was a burner. She's a really funny character in that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew McCarthy. Have I ever seen him apart from Night of the Running Man?
You've never seen Mannequin?
No, because I'm a straight man. Why would I watch Mannequin?
Because it's got Kim Cattrall in it. She's amazingly hot in that film. Terrible actress, but hot.
He was in Weekend at Bernie's, wasn't
he? Yes, he was.
Yes.
Again, if we could focus on Night of the Running Man, with Scott Glenn. Do you remember that film, Rupert? It's fantastic. He's kind of a Leland Orser character. He's on the run and he's completely out of his depth, being hunted down by Scott Glenn as this like awful hitman, this like, foul hitman who's extremely dangerous. And he's just basically Andrew McCarthy, completely out of his depth and panicking for 90 minutes. It's such a good film. That's the one where he gets kidnapped and has his feet burned in boiling water so he can't escape.
Ooh.
And then and what is it? A homeless man goes up to Scott Glenn and says, "Oh, mate, have you got any change?" And he pulls out like a butterfly knife and just slashes his eyes in his face.
Jesus.
And I thought that was an overreaction. You could have just said, "No, sorry."
No.
Yeah, Night of the Running Man, 93. That's probably the best Andrew McCarthy film, and probably one of the best like
Mark
90s thrillers.
Films?
Yeah, is it Mark L. That's just another. See, maybe he was like, "Oh, Mark L. Lester." Sure, a sign of quality, and then his agent's like, "Oh, escape clause, you got Paul Sorvino, Connie Britton, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. Could be another Night of the Running Man," and it wasn't.
I don't think I've ever heard of Night of the Running Man, so
it's on Prime. You should definitely 100% watch it. It's really good.
Scott Glenn is good at being like kind of intimidating as well.
He's a menace, isn't he?
Yeah. He's really good at Wild Geese 2 as well, which also stars Derek Thompson from Casualty, which is a good film.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's another classic. That's one of those films where at the start of Wild Geese 2, it shows Scott Glenn walking through like New York and he beats up someone in a toilet. and you see him have this like really clumsy fight that he almost loses, and then it cuts to someone saying, "We need Scott Glenn. He's the best man for this job." And I thought, I haven't seen any evidence of that. I wouldn't get too excited. Yeah, you just got to kick him while he was wiping his ass. I wouldn't get too excited. Yeah,
because he was the star of the original Man on Fire, which I watched a while back. And he's crap in that as well. Like, he just gets his arse handed to him at the beginning, and then he sort of fumbles. He's in the hospital for a whole chunk of the film, and then there's like a burst of action in the last 20 minutes, and he just kind of like fumbles his way through it. And you're thinking, it's not the most effective protagonist I've ever seen in a film.
You saying that he's on his arse. It's like, people say this, they say, "Oh, I'm on my arse, mate." I love that saying, but I love it when people said, "Oh, why did John go home last night from the pub?" "Oh, he had his arse in his hands." Like, what does that mean? He's holding his arse as he walked home? What does it mean? I don't understand. There's certain sayings that I don't actually know what they mean. I don't want to know. I just love hearing them.
Like your core blimeys.
Yeah, he had his core blimeys on when he turned up at the pub last night, let me tell you. Put money in his pocket and dropped down into his shoes.
Right, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. They couldn't decide whether to call it Ready or Not 2 or Ready or Not Here I Come, so they called it both in a slightly awkward way. This is... You guys seen the original?
Yes.
No, I've never heard of this.
Okay. Well, this is another one not dissimilar to that film I talked about the other week, They Will Kill You, where it's more or less one location horror action film where there's like a lone person or a small group of people trying to escape a place full of monsterousy things.
I can see that Elijah Wood is in this, which is always a sign of quality.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's very much like the first one. So in the first one, Samara Weaving, son of Thingy Weaving, as we decided the other week. Hugo Weaving. No, Hugo Weaving's niece. She plays a woman called Grace, and in the first one, she was a willing bride who discovers that her dreamy, rich fiancé, his family were members of a satanic cult that have lured her to the family home to take part in a kind of hunting ritual, which will end with her being sacrificed to the devil or something along those lines. And having survived the events of the first film, this one then picks up almost straight away as she leaves the house and it's on fire behind her, and as she collapses and wakes up in hospital to discover that her fiancé's family were just one family in a ruling families of this large devil worshipping cult organization. And because she fucked up the original plan for sacrificing her, now there's a whole host of families who are all putting forward people to try and kill her off. And it's kind of caused a power struggle. So the meat of this film is very much a retread of the first one, but they've now broadened the canvas in terms of like the lore, and there's more people to kill. The location is bigger. They actually go outside for stretches. But it's all pretty much the same thing. The only real difference is that her sister, played by Catherine Newton, is now along for the ride, which does up the ante a bit because they're almost like co-leads, and you feel like one of them could be killed off conceivably and the story would carry on with the other person. So it does up the stakes somewhat, but on the whole, this is more just kind of cartoonish, tongue-in-cheek, silly action, and you kind of know it's not going to do anything too surprising. But there are a nice bunch of familiar faces turn up as the villains. There's like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Elijah Wood, Kevin Durand, who you would recognize, plays big thuggish guys and lots of things. The guyliner guy, Nestor Carbonell, is also one of the bad guys.
David Cronenberg.
And David Cronenberg, yes, turns up for a little cameo as the kind of arch father over all of this organization.
He must be getting on a bit now.
Yeah, he plays a guy who's basically like on a ventilator stuff. But yeah, so it's fun. It's like it's if you like the first one, you will like this. It's more of the same, just with more people to kill. I would say that it suffers from that problem where they've expanded the cast so much that no one has a great deal of time to shine before they get shot or exploded or stabbed to death. But yeah, I don't know. It is probably a bit better than the first one, even though hasn't got that element of surprise. But I did probably enjoyed They Will Kill You more if we were looking at this little subgenre of horror action films.
I quite like the first one, but not enough. I never thought, we really need another installment of this stuff.
No. And it becomes clear fairly early on that there isn't a great deal more that they plan to do with the premise.
Okay. Okay. So it's just kind of a bit more of the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just more of the same with more people involved. And instead of one big house, there's like a big house and a hotel and a golf course. But even then, like by expanding the scope, it kind of shows up its weaknesses. Like there's a bit where one of these guys is trying to shoot them with it's like one of those 50 cal sniper rifle.
Right.
And they're just running across a golf course in daylight and he can't hit them. And you're just like, I don't know, they're so ineffective that they just deserve to die. It kind of the threat diminishes somewhat when these two girls, who are neither of them are exactly like packing the muscle, seem to overcome every person that comes their way. But
this is a problem we talked about before. Are they just like physically overwhelming like 6'5" Russians?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're never really breaks the sense of disbelief that you suspended, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's even like stuff where like unnecessarily, like I think one of them gets like staked through the shoulder, and you think, well, that arm is fucked then, isn't it? But no, they just carry on punching people with it, strangling people with it, and you're like, okay. But like I said, it's tongue-in-cheek. You're not meant to take it seriously, but there comes a point where you stop caring because it's so disconnected from anything real. But there we go.
Okay. Well, I'm not in a rush to watch that. What's it on?
It was on Disney Plus. So
okay.
No money was paid for it that wasn't already spent.
Okay.
And it's quite short.
90 minutes?
I think it was a bit over that, but not far off.
It's under 2 hours. That's all we can hope for, really, in this day and age. What isn't under 2 hours is the Odyssey. So we should talk about that.
Yes.
And we saw this at the cinema in pseudo IMAX. And this is
pseudo IMAX. What's that?
Not IMAX.
big loud in the cinema then.
Well, they have so-called super screen, and they even call it IMAX at the Odeon near us, but it's not true. IMAX is not actually showing it. There's only like 3 IMAX cinemas, I think, in Britain. So anyway,
showing in the proper aspect ratio.
Yeah.
This is basically a really big cinema screen, but it is massively chopping off the top and the bottom still of the full frame.
Just to say as well, I noticed that Rupert said near us. We want to keep our actual location a total secret, so we use the code name Burnham-on-Sea for every time we have to refer to our actual location. So the massive IMAX in Burnham-on-Sea.
So the Odyssey then. Odysseus, played by Matt Damon, who's the king of Ithaca, he goes on a long journey home after the Trojan War, and on the way he encounters various monsters, and he's on his way back to reunite with his wife, Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway. She's been hanging around for like 20 years for him to come home, and there's a swarm of potential new husbands, including Robert Pattinson, loitering in her mead hall. And meanwhile, their son, played by Tom Holland, believes Odysseus is still alive, so he's wandering around basically asking Odysseus' old mates about his father. And both me and Lazlo saw this. I found this movie very intense. And it's a movie with a lot of depth, I think. And I think it grows in stature in retrospect. And that kind of makes me want to watch it again on a very big, loud screen again. I suppose let's address the completely insane backlash against the casting, which of course makes zero
there's no
difference
blacks in it, are there?
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Oh, for Pete's
Got to
sake.
shoehorn them in somewhere. Yeah, it's all fucking blah blah, historical accuracy, blah blah. But historical accuracy, I mean, this is a film with literally a cyclops, a witch, a tentacle monster, and a load of giants. And yet they'll continue to bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry, and the zombies. And yet they continue to bitch about how Lupita Nyong'o can't play Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy, a woman who's literally the daughter of a thunder god and who was born from a swan's egg. For fuck's sake. Get over it.
Hang on, is this one of those wonderful internet backlashes that is...
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And there's more.
I like not knowing these things and I discover them through the podcast. They're just like my faith in humanity just gets chipped away at.
Can you imagine anyone taking issue with the casting of Elliot Page as a warrior in this film?
No, it would be completely. There's no. Why would anyone get upset with that?
And they were freaking out because they thought, oh no, Elliot Page can't be Achilles, who's not even in this fucking film.
I literally saw a YouTube video, having a rant about Elliot Page being cast as Achilles.
The person ranting was, I'm going to guess here, was it a bespectacled white middle-aged man?
They
hid their face in the videos, so
that's weird.
That's brave of them.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
So and there's a bit of backlash against the accents as well, because again, I don't care. Willem Dafoe in The Last Temptation of Christ is my favorite ever film performance, and he is not speaking Aramaic in that film. He is just an American, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, this film, visually stunning, and some really quite weird and original imagery in it. And I think it might be Christopher Nolan's most accessible film in a way, because I suppose it's because such a sort of seminal text is like 3,000 years old, and it's just the basis for most Hollywood films, really. But what I like is how Nolan comes at it from a more of an emotional angle. He could have been a bit of a smarty pants and made a puzzle movie, but it's more just a tragic journey into the soul of a soldier, really. And he does mess about with timelines, as always, but it's very easy to follow, and it's just maximizing the drama, really. And it's really, I think, about post-traumatic stress disorder. In retrospect, it kind of reminded me of The Deer Hunter, actually, albeit with a different structure. It's sort of about the deep scarring effects of war. And I don't know, does this count as a spoiler? Not really. It's just a thought I've been having since I watched it, that I think it's quite entirely plausible, if you think of it as like a PTSD movie, that it's entirely plausible that everything you see on Odysseus's Odyssey is not literally true, and they're kind of living dreams born out of the trauma of war. I don't know if that has crossed your mind.
It has to a degree, because I was talking to somebody else about this, and I would say that I liked and admired this film, but I didn't love it. But it has played on my mind since, which to me is usually a sign of a good film that warrants, another watch. But one of the things we were talking about anyway, one of my grumbles was that you take away the time jumping, non-linear editing, it's quite episodic. They sort of rock up in a place, they get bummed, and they have to run away again and get on the ships and go and repeat. It does that, a few times over. And I was highlighting one particular bit where they turn up the place and there's those big giants in silver armor that just lay waste to them, and they have to leg it. And I was like, what did they learn from that? There's no moral to that story, really. Like, like it was spectacle for the sake of it, really. But like you're saying there, if you look at each thing as a kind of a representation of I don't know, survivor's guilt and PTSD, there is something in that where you're facing an insurmountable enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you think of it as representing, like the walls of Troy, where they're just throwing themselves against it and just getting a complete kicking. And even then the forest is moving around and trapping them and stuff, isn't it? So it's again kind of...
I forgot about that.
You can think about it less literally, and you I think there are.
I think
things
it does
to
help to and the whole sequence with Samantha Morton, which is one of the most grotesque things I've ever seen. And when I listened to Mark Kermode talking about that, and he managed to reference Society, as in the horror film Society, which I was very, very pleased with, because I'm glad he made that connection, because it does have a bit of that about it. It's quite grotesque.
Society wasn't a PG film, was it?
It was not a PG.
No, I remember the ending of that. It made me put my corned beef sandwich with brown sauce down and think, I think I'll eat that after this film.
But even that is like very metaphorical, isn't it? And it seems to be about different facets of kind of like the soldier's mind, I suppose. Want a better term. But yeah. So I think it works in that regard. But yes, if you just took it completely literally, then I suppose it would be a bit like it would almost become comical, wouldn't it? Because they're just like, oh right, okay, here's another island, get their asses kicked, run away. As Max O'Larity pointed out, it kind of ends up a bit like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. But yeah, I think it's a really good film, and I think all the performers are good in it. I
did think also, I mean, if we're going to be frank about its shortcomings, I think some of the dialogue is quite on the nose. There's bits where people talk about what they're thinking and doing.
Yes.
That you don't need to quite say so much here. Like, we kind of get it, and I don't know, that was sort of thing. Also, a weird thing that bothered me was that he's so fixated on saving his crew and trying to get them home safely, and yet his crew are a bunch of dicks. Like they're kind of mutinous and often make rash and stupid mistakes, and I was kind of like, why are you that? I don't care about this crew, which feels like a little bit of an odd thing, considering he's so keen on it, and you want to kind of invest in his mission. But I don't know. It's clearly a conscious decision to do it that way. I mean, they even cast actors who often, like, are recognizable faces who often play bad guys and things. There's a Welsh actor in there who I've seen in loads of stuff. He usually plays Russian bad guys and stuff.
Yeah. Richard Brake, are we back on him?
No, it's not Richard Brake. It's I'll have to look him up. But yeah, it was a slightly odd choice to make. Even his second in command guy kind of stabs him in the back a bit and is a bit of a prick. And you think, like, it's okay to let all these people die because they're dicks and they've kind of asked for it.
But are they really there?
Wow. That's a good point. Yeah.
I think I liked it more than Lazlo, but I think it's his best film since Interstellar for me.
I would say that his Batman films are more accessible, if we're on that note.
Yeah, I suppose, that's a good point. But just because of the IP, really. But
yeah. It reminded me a little bit of Dunkirk in, like, it's sort of a simple-ish story told in a clever, sort of timey-wimey way. But I think there's a lot more
in Dunkirk
going on
that pissed me off, though, more than anything. I think this is a film of depth. But I think maybe it's his most kind of emotionally resonant film. It's definitely since Interstellar, like nakedly emotional.
I'm going to speak on behalf of the listeners here. What's the audio quality like?
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
It was. I did not I was listening out for it.
$250 million, and it's okay. It's fine. Classic Nolan.
They're all wearing helmets, but they don't cover their mouths usually. Yeah. So there's a plus. The sound in this was like searingly loud. I did have a hangover, which I don't think helped, especially when thunderous. In that Samantha Morton scene I wanted to spew. But there's a bit like where the Cyclops gets jabbed in his eye and he's screeching, and it's so loud. Like it was like it was painful on the ears. So I mean, it's very well designed in almost every technical way.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that, I mean, obviously it does use a fair amount of CG, but some of the tricks they used to do as much as they could in camera are pretty cool. Like the bit with the giants was done by basically getting like 7-foot actors and getting small female stunt women to play the soldiers and stuff. So that was cool.
Also, I saw a thing that the Cyclops, they used a giant puppet.
Yeah.
But I mean, albeit then embellished it with CG.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or whether it was an AI.
I think it is.
Well, okay.
No, I think it's because I think that, I guess it kind of goes back to, I don't know, because they did something similar on like the original Jurassic Park, for example, because obviously they tried to do as much in camera as possible and then obviously use CG afterwards, which is why it holds up so well. Whereas, of course, now they just don't bother, do they? With most films, it's just like, all right, well, just imagine there's some fucking Cyclops over there.
Yeah. You can spot the difference. It's telling, like I was watching the trailer for the new Avengers film. Admittedly, this is just a first teaser or whatever, but almost every shot is just people standing in front of a CG wall. It looks so shit comparatively. It's unreal.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like that new pointless Moana live action. They call it live action remake, but I mean, it just, every single shot in the trailer just looked like it was real actors against CG.
Yeah. Like it's less colourful, less vibrant than the original.
Yeah, a slightly aged Dwayne Johnson with a bodysuit on.
I'm glad the audience spoke with their feet for that film, because it's been an extraordinary bomb, hasn't it?
Good.
Yeah.
I'll learn them, but it won't learn them.
No, it won't. No. There we go. The Odyssey at cinemas now.
Watch it in the true IMAX in Burnham-on-Sea.
I suppose I've got another 2 minutes to end my my run for tonight, and that is, I was like I said earlier on, I mentioned I was in a hotel in a room with my son in Bristol after going to the aquarium and a farm and having a nice time. Of course, he fell asleep. I turned on the telly. What's on? The Negotiator, 1998. Don't you worry about that. Directed by F. Gary Gray. And I realized I was quite drunk when I was watching this, and it dawned on me that I've only ever watched The Negotiator from a certain point onwards. I seem to only have watched it when it kind of kicks off and Samuel L. Jackson is trying to clear his name. And I just wondered, like, I talk about the film in a minute, but I just wondered if you had films like this where you've only ever watched them by like turning on the TV and seeing it from a certain point onwards, like all the time for years on end.
Until, not quite the same thing, but until
you watched Shop Girl 3 times in 3 days?
I did watch Shop Girl 3 times in 3 days, but until like last year or something, I'd watched Casino about 5 or 6 times, and every time I'd been too drunk to remember what happened in it. I don't know why I always ended up watching it drunk. It just happened to be just like end of a house party or something, or just happened to be on the TV when I came up from the pub. But so I've got a really weird kind of perspective on it. And then I watched it just sober, and it was really good.
Oh, really? Is it good? I've never seen Casino.
Yeah, it is good. It's not exactly a knee slapper, but you know.
But I was watching. So The Negotiator, 1998. It stars Kevin Spacey and Samuel L. Jackson, and they are acting. They are acting in this film, and I think that's what. So it's one of those films where, like I said, I cannot speak for the first like half hour, but the last hour is really, really kinetic. Where Samuel Jackson's in a situation where he's a negotiator, like the top negotiator. He's got these hostages and he's trying to clear his name, and he calls in Kevin Spacey as another negotiator outside of the precinct that he doesn't even really respect. He just knows he's not corrupt, and is sort of trying to force the situation to get the truth out. And it's just scene after scene of people acting. Like David Morse, and he comes on and he shouts that he's in command, and he'll shout at everyone in the room, and then Kevin Spacey will turn up and shout actually he's in control. Then Samuel L. Jackson will shout over the walkie-talkie, "Come on, I'm in control." And then the bloke who played Womack in The Rock will turn up saying, "You all shut up, I'm in control." And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. These people are acting. They've done this before. And they're all doing the same thing at once. And it just reminds me of like a Bruckheimer film where there's just everyone just shouting at each other. And it's ridiculous, the music in it. If someone's shouting, the music will just be like really intense. But then all of a sudden, someone will like start talking like sort of quite earnestly into a phone. I knew you were a bit of Chinese flute. There's no flow. It's just someone sat there like, what's okay? What will fit this? Yeah, okay, I'll press this button on my keyboard now. It's fantastic, but it just rolls on. And then basically the film is like people shouting at each other and gunfire and explosions until they respect each other and they'll talk to each other, but they'll tell each other that if you carry on, I'll shout again. And that's The Negotiator, classic, and a film I've probably seen like 15 times for the last 2/3.
I have weirdly strong memories of when this came out because they were both like super hot at that point in time, like the career-wise. I think either one of them won Oscars around this time, and it was like two powerhouses in like one intense kind of mano-a-mano standoff, but verbal sparring acting thing. And then I remember watching it and it was just deeply generic and like you say, they just kind of shout at each other a lot and no one's saying anything of real substance or anything. It's just it's like a decent thriller, but with two sort of top caliber actors at the top of their game in it.
Do you find though that sometimes those films, you saying that reminded me of those films are deep like Van Helsing or Underworld or The Negotiator. Is that, or like Rupert with Casino? There's something about a film that's so generic and so like brazen in its delivery. It makes it rewatchable because you have no emotional investment. But they're kind of good at what they're doing in a functional way that it makes you just, when it comes on, you think, "Oh, I'll watch this. It's fine."
Yeah,
I did notice
it's just a slick product.
Yeah, it basically does its job because I'm just looking at the poster here, and I know you both know the poster, red and black. Sam on one side, Kevin on the other side, The Negotiator, and I just realized for the first time the IA in the middle is black in the word negotiator, and of course that's because a lot of it is about internal affairs. I've never noticed that before, so that was a nice little thing to notice.
Nice little touch. It's actually a pretty good poster.
It is, yeah, it is a good poster because it's real. It's actual people standing there.
Yeah, it's focusing on what is the real draw because they were the hottest of the hot at the time. I suppose it would have been just before American Beauty, though.
99, the next year, American Beauty, yeah.
But yeah, they were big time at that time.
Yeah. This is a functional and decent thriller. It does what it says on the tin. I cannot remember the name of the person who plays Womack in Con Air, but he's always a good laugh as well. And I guess David Morse, it's just people turning up, but they all shout. They're all effectively just like different shades of the same person. Good.
Does David Morse turn out to be the bad guy in this one? It's usually what happens with him.
Oh, come on, mate. Come on, mate. Well, we've all had a drink. Let's not ruin it for the listeners.
I think I confused this one with like 16 Blocks. Is he the bad guy in that?
16 Blocks is one of the most infuriating films I've ever watched because I don't know who that rapper is that plays the guy that Bruce Willis is. And I thought, oh my God, like I've just turned off a Casey Affleck film. I didn't come here for this. I don't want this now. I don't want someone with Billy Corgan's mid-range delivery. I want someone with baritone in their voice.
Is he the guy from that bloody Kevin Bacon film, Woodsman, the woodcutter. What?
Well, The
Someone-
Woodsman is the Kevin Bacon
Woodsman.
film. I'm not sure. Look at 16
He was in.
Blocks
He was in
Awful
Hitchhiker's
voice.
Guide as well.
Yeah, I know. It is the same guy.
But he has a voice a bit like that, but he's putting it on even more in 16 Blocks. He's like he's doing a voice.
It
And not
is what's his
a
name?
grating voice, you could say.
Mos Def.
Yeah,
Mos Def, yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me done with films. Thank God.
Forever.
Awful. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like my go-to generic pap films to stick on. They do. I think I've got a roster of them. Like, what's it? The bloody, I don't know why. Mortal Kombat, the recent one, like, but not the second one. The inferior first one.
Not even the second one.
Bloody hell, Lazlo.
It's on my. I've got it on watch list on about 3 different apps because it's always on. Like, if I see it, I go, "Oh, I could just stick that on."
Why though?
It's so unchallenging. It's so like wallpapery, and I'll just look up when they're fighting, and I'll look down when they're talking. You know, it's.
What, do you zip up at the end of the film then, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have anything quite that comfort foodie. I'll say.
Well, when I was when you're in your teens and 20s, you have so much more free time. Like The Big Lebowski, The Big Hit. You put on, you'll sit through anything. But now I just think, I know now if I sit down and I'm drunk or I'm tired, I know I'm not going to make it through a film. I'm just not going to. I have better things to do with my time. So that's why I have to really pick my battles and watch things like Escape Clause, was a TV movie from 1996 with Andrew McCarthy, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith.
I started watching The Ambulance with Eric Roberts night before last, and I fell asleep. I can't be bothered to finish it. I'm not going to review it. The trailer made it look really fun, and it was so fucking boring. It was stupid and boring, and so I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going back.
Stupid
I
and
had the exact same thing. Like I used to have a rule with this podcast where, like, if I put a film on, I would watch it through. That rule was before I was a father. And now, the other day, I put on Malice with like Alec Baldwin, and then I got about 20 minutes in, and they started talking about womb cancer, and I thought, I'm not watching this. I don't care if it's a 90s thriller. I'm going to give up and turn this off. I can't. So yeah. So and then I put on, obviously, classics like Escape Clause, star Andrew McCarthy, 1996 TV movies, 4x3, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. Things that are worth my time.
Yeah, you're more discerning.
Oh, well, we'll just say, again, I think everyone listening should watch Night of the Running Man. It's a really good film that I think went flew under a lot of radars in 1993. We can't do it.
Should I talk about In the Mouth of Madness?
Yes.
Which I had not seen before. I rented this because it wasn't available anywhere.
Yeah.
As you guys know, directed by John Carpenter in 1994. It stars Sam Neill. And it was like a heavily Stephen King inspired horror thriller where he plays an insurance investigator.
Yeah, but careful, because it's good film, isn't it? Remember, that's the difference. You gotta put that little twist in there, a little splash of lemon.
Stephen King inspired, but good. And he plays an insurance investigator who is searching for a famous horror novelist called Sutter Kane, who's disappeared on the cusp of the release of his latest and greatest novel. And his search takes him off to a remote town that then, upon arriving, he begins to question whether this place is real or not. And it features in the novel. And so it's like an art imitating life horror madness scenario. And I wish I'd watched this years ago, because the concept feels like it's been done many times over in the years in between. I don't know, maybe it was not even a fresh idea at the time, but that sort of entering into a narrative world where you can't tell the line between reality and fiction has been done many, many times over. But I did enjoy this anyway, just because it's creepy and weird and well done. It has some very cool creature effects, nice production design, and it's got that kind of John Carpenter half tongue-in-cheek tone that he occasionally does very well. And also Sam Neill is awesome, playing it straight for the most part, but then having these sequences where his sanity is slipping, where he is very funny, including a bit where he wakes up on a coach and just like screams in this ridiculous way that I know has been turned into a meme and things. So I don't know, it wasn't top tier Carpenter for me, but I did enjoy it a lot. And yeah, it was nice to see Sam Neill in one of his sort of slightly iconic roles, I guess.
Maybe the poster for this film reflects Lord of Illusions by Clive Barker. Who knows? Did you think this was better than They Live?
I would say it's definitely better made than They Live.
Nice.
I don't know. They Live has a special place in my heart for being so kind of crap. It's good, whereas this is mostly just well done, I think, with occasional moments of cheesy madness.
Yeah, there's something about John Carpenter as well that, like, none of his films are perfect, right? There's some element of it which isn't quite right or
You've
quite
seen
balanced.
The Thing, though, haven't you?
I must admit, The Thing is the one I struggle with most to find fault with. But you look at his other movies, and like, I love The Fog. I think it's so atmospheric, and yet Jamie Lee Curtis' character does not need to be in that movie.
Yeah, but she has a realistic relationship with Tom Atkins, doesn't she? So I don't know what your problem is.
What about Halloween? That's considered one of his best, isn't it, as well?
You didn't say 2 then, Lazlo.
Did he direct 2?
I don't know.
He wrote 2, I think. I'm not sure who directed it.
Yeah, he wrote 2 on his arse with pen, looking at it in a mirror.
I think he has some regrets about that one. But I mean, I'm not the biggest Halloween fan. I think it's quite seminal, but it feels like it's been, because it's been repeated so much, it's been quite superseded, I'd say.
Yeah. What about Big Trouble in Little China? Which is my favourite Carpenter film.
It's all over the shop, isn't it, though, really? I mean, like, as an actual movie, like, tonally and everything. But it's brilliant. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? I think that was Carpenter's appeal, and it's also the reason why he just wouldn't work as a modern director. I mean, if a movie came out, if he released a movie now, it'd be like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like he was part of another era.
When you look, John Carpenter's he's probably one of my favorite directors because everything he did was really interesting. And it's like when I look back at films now, like The Thing or Big Trouble in Little China or In the Month of Madness, and all these films I really, really love. You look back and it's like, oh, didn't make his money back, middling reviews, box office bomb, but he kept getting full creative control of everything. And it sort of ends up being compiled in this really interesting filmography.
Yeah. I imagine he always brought them in on budget or something. That's usually why you can get away with continually making flops, is that you're not pissing off the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I can't think of many directors before him who got to stick their name above the title. He did kind of become a brand unto himself, didn't he, I guess?
I mean, even Escape from New York has its flaws. And that's saying something.
Yeah. What about Escape from LA?
That has no flaws.
No flaws.
There was All Ceilings. There was a clip I watched, I think I mentioned before on this podcast, where someone who's been interviewed. This is going back about 10 years, and they said, how come... how do you feel about this is the Rob Zombie times, the remix of Halloween, and they said, someone interviewing John Carpenter said, how do you feel about the remakes and what's happened with Halloween after you sort of left the franchise? And he said, Well, I put my hand out, and then they put a check in it, and then I put the check in my pocket, and I go home. And it just made me laugh. I thought, good, yes. Now make a good film, because the last 15 years have not been kind to you, John.
No.
Everything after vampires, really, wasn't it?
I was going to say vampires was kind of all right, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of right. It's probably his last recognizable film that you think, right, that is a John Carpenter film.
Yeah.
Ghost of Mars was just like, it could be shit, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And then The Ward, which was just not interesting at all.
Yeah. Basically, right, what you should do is, if you're a John Carpenter fan, or you're like a new John Carpenter fan, listen to this, you should watch all of his films, maybe skip Prince of Darkness, and then...
I don't know, he's got his moments.
then, okay, watch that if you must. And then when it gets to vampires, then just listen to his albums.
Yeah.
And be done with it.
Imagine the films.
Imagining the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, In the Mouth of Madness is a good film.
Yes.
Sam Neill is well cast.
I do regret not having watched it. I've had so many opportunities to watch it over the years, and I don't know why I never have. But I think I would have enjoyed it, got more out of it if I'd watched it when I was a teenager than now. But it was fun and nice to see Sam Neill doing his thing.
I am out of movies. Have you two got another one you want to rattle through?
I watched The Long Walk. I know we've talked about this before, so I can quickly
2 minutes. Have you got another one then, Lazlo?
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got The Omen 3 left.
No, perfect. That's a nice Sammer to end on.
Yeah, to The Long Walk, we talked about this before. This is the one where it's a Stephen King adaptation, and young men have to walk across, just keep walking, basically, until they do, one of them, until they all fall down and die, basically, and they get shot by soldiers walking along beside them. Yeah, I found this, it felt oddly predictable, this one. Like, from the first moment that the two main characters establish a relationship, I literally guessed the ending, which apparently deviates from the book, by the way. And it's very much a dialogue-based movie, which is fine, but I thought the dialogue was kind of cheesy and unconvincing, but then King always has a bit of a cheesiness to him. I just thought the world building was terrible. The whole concept is ludicrous. It takes the implausibility of, say, something like The Purge and just takes it to a new level, a whole nother level. And I think in a way, they would have been better off just explaining nothing and just let us go along with it and just accept it, rather than trying to explain why any of this is happening. And also why I didn't get this sort of alternative 1950s thing. Because it would fit more of an ultra-modern setting. I don't know, you'd have all this technology to kind of capture everything. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess it's going, because with the war metaphor thing, it's meant to feel like Vietnam-y, I guess, Vietnam era.
I guess.
When did he write it? I mean,
I think this must be recent-ish, wasn't it?
I thought it was old, wasn't it? Because it's under his pseudonym.
Oh, was it? Oh, that might be why I've not heard of it then. Okay. But anyway, Mark Hamill is miscast. He's acting in a different movie to everyone else. He's super camp and pantomime-y. But also, paradoxically, his character is too mean to possibly convince the world to join this ridiculous endeavor in the first place. So it's a bit of an odd one.
Yeah.
It's a strange film. It's I think it's frustrating because it's it probably could have been good, but it wasn't particularly good.
Stick that on your poster.
Yeah. I don't know, it just felt a bit... There are very few moments... Yeah, there are very few standout moments of no real exciting sequences in it, you get in a movie like this, but memorable sequences. It's not my only memory of it is just these young men walking along, just chatting slightly sentimental shit to each other.
Yeah. It's a weird one where you think like highlight memories is like the bit where the guy pulled his trousers down and had a shit whilst walking along, or the guy just got shot in the head and his jaw was hanging off or whatever, and you're just like, not great memories.
No.
Actually. Yeah. Do you think my thought afterwards is like, just watch an actual war film. Just watch Platoon or something, because you get all of the dialogue, all the camaraderie, but then they actually have a fighting chance, and there's some action and a change of scenery.
Yeah, because if you're just going to make a war movie out of a far-fetched scenario, why don't you just make a war movie? Just because, it amounts to the same thing, doesn't it? You don't really need to make it metaphorical.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I can't express how much I'm never going to watch this film.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember reading the book and slamming it shut and thinking, whoops.
So and that was just at the prologue.
Yeah, that was just looking at the words Stephen King on the cover.
That just said, this is dedicated to my wife and kids. Nah.
No.
Shall I talk about The Omen 3 then? The final conflict.
Nice.
So
was it
this
final?
Well, I think they made like this stuff. I think there was only 3 of the original trilogy, but then they've done a remake and a prequel since.
Of course they did.
I've seen the first one. I've skipped to the third one, so I think I'll probably watch the second one next, then the prequel, and then the remake, just to really fuck it all up. Right. So Sam Neill is in this one, having a real hoot, playing the son of the devil, Damien, now grown up, and he's brilliant because he's got this like sort of slightly boyish side parting, and he's got a kind of a clean shaven face, so he looks like he looks a bit boyish, but he's also horribly unsettling in this film. And he, at this point in his life now, is playing a super influential head of a corporation that has their hands in humanitarian affairs, ironically, all around the globe, which I thought was a fun idea that they were then going to flip on its head at some point when you find out they're not feeding people, they're actually starving everyone or something. But they don't do that. Instead, he gets himself assigned as the US ambassador to the UK, where the stars have foretold that the second coming of Christ will be born somewhere in London. So then it becomes basically a race for time between him, as he tries to identify and kill the newborn second coming of Christ, and a group of Christian assassins who have are protecting this child's identity and want to kill Damien with a set of special ancient holy knives. That's basically the premise. This film has its flaws, I would say, but I didn't think it was a bad film, and I thought there's actually loads of cool ideas in this that would make it really.
Sorry to interject. Can I just say this? I was just shut on my door, but this seems to have ramped up from the first album, which I remember as being a child with a side parting, pulling faces at people until they fell off a roof.
Well, there is some of that in this, because he doesn't really engage with anyone in hand-to-hand combat, but he manages to dispatch this team of assassins by sort of glaring at them and them like sort of tripping over a wire and then landing in some electrified water and then catching fire and stuff like that. So they have the premise is carried through quite neatly, and like I said, it's got lots of cool ideas that I think would be ripe for a remake. I guess that maybe they thought they would do that when they remade the first one, that they could then get to this point. But with them being like satanic leader of this seemingly humanitarian super corporation. It feels quite like you could do a timely reimagining of this as the devil is, in a Elon Musk kind of role or whatever. Anyway, unfortunately, yes, they don't go big with that part of it. Instead, he then is this US ambassador in the UK, and the plot is pretty thin, really. It basically a series of set pieces where that things just happen without any real connective tissue. Like there's a fox hunt, and he's just like, oh, he's going fox hunting now, okay. And there's some lad there that he's clearly grooming as his replacement by blooding him at the end of the hunt and stuff. But then there's an assassination attempt whilst he's fox hunting, and it's completely, utterly ridiculous. Like the fox that's being chased, they catch and then replace with like a dead fox that they then drag behind a horse to lead the dogs away. So then Damien, they can get him on his own, basically, in the woods. And I was like, how the fuck did you catch a fox like that like, a whole pack of hounds and horse riders can't catch? But you happened to be there with a basket and it ran it. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense and I just wasn't fully paying attention, but it was ridiculous. But anyway, and then there's another scene where he goes to a church that's in the middle of the moors. It's like a broken down, roofless ruin of a church. I don't know why he goes there, but then there's two assassins waiting for him. And then he just kind of dispatches them in this stupid way where they like fall in a hole and the dogs would chase them down into a hole or something. And I was like, why did he go there? Why were they there? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just they're just set pieces, and they didn't manage to string them together very well.
It reminds me of that film I watched with Nicolas Cage, where someone's running along a field in a war-torn country they've never been to, and they trip and fall down like a rabbit hole, and then they find an underground bunker in which their dad lives that they've never met. And I said, hang on now, back up.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like that. There is. I would say a fairly tasteless montage sequence dedicated to murdering of babies. That made me say, "Oh wow!" out loud. It's not shy. I would say he literally he gets an army of followers to murder all the babies that were born on the day that this second coming of Christ was born. And you think, oh, this is an evil scam that the heroes are going to prevent. No. Then it launches into a sequence of many, many, many babies being murdered in their cribs. So that was pretty nuts. But
was that a look down or look up moment for you?
I was looking up there. I was looking up and then looking at Nick and looking around the room, thinking they're actually doing this. Okay. And there's even one of his, like, I'm spoiling things a little bit, but one of his entourage has a baby that was born 10 minutes before midnight the day before. So I was sitting there going, oh, okay, he's lied about when he's born. And you think like that's going to be Jesus. But then that baby gets it as well. Spoiler alert. I was like, okay, no, they're going to kill that baby as well. There's a whole sequence where you think he might get rescued in time, but no, the woman comes in and he just looks, so he walks in and he screams because his wife has battered it to death with an iron or something.
Is there a sequence then where like it cuts to the police saying something's going on here because thousands of children have been killed in one night? We really got to look into this.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You don't know who is in on it with him. There's all sorts of things that don't quite hang together. So then there is a bit where a reporter is saying, but many babies' deaths have occurred this night. And they're like, going, yeah, but, cot death and stuff. There's, these are all accidents or medical mistakes and stuff. You go, what, but thousands of babies in one day? But anyway, like his henchman, he talks about like being the son of the devil and how they can only kill me with the special knives and stuff. And the guy just accepts it. I was like, how would you believe this guy is telling the truth? How has he proven any of this? Doesn't really matter. And then there's a bit at the end where he's near the end where he's gathering in this army of people of all walks of life to kill all these babies off, and none of them. I guess they're under a spell or something because they don't seem to. No one sticks their hand up and goes, sounds a bit nuts actually. No. Anyway, it was an interesting and enjoyable watch, but definitely a film with flaws. The ending is very anticlimactic, which kind of sucks. But it also has a very awesomely overblown Jerry Goldsmith score, which literally sounds like it's from a different film altogether, but it does elevate a lot of the scenes that are a little bit ordinary into something a bit more cinematic. But yeah, I'll definitely watch the second one now. Apparently, this is the weakest of the three, so I'm quite excited to watch the second one.
You started off strong.
There's apparently the fourth one is unbelievably bad.
Oh, there is a fourth.
Yeah, I think so.
How did they do that? Oh, actually, come to think of it, there is a little suggestion of how they could carry this on. I won't say anymore.
Does it cut to like an egg opening in the sewers?
He has sex with a robotic Robin Williams near the end of the film. And
makes him pregnant.
A robotic Robin Williams doing an impression of Julie Andrews.
Oh, no. I'll be seeing that image of Julie Andrews in my sleep tonight.
Oh, you mean Mrs. Doubtfire? Yes, I'm familiar with the image. And now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to move on to the Arkansas, which was Reese Witherspoon to Whoopi Goldberg. Got some interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What I've realized before you both do your entries, what I find really interesting is, you probably won't get this from what I'm about to read out, but from messages I've had and conversations I've had, there's something about if it's a four-stepper. I think to me, a four-stepper is pretty good. It's it's not great, but it seems to be that if it's a four-stepper, it's almost unacceptable to the person sending it in.
It's a failure.
It's a failure.
You should be able to get a 3.
Yeah, I've never noticed this over the last 100 episodes of the podcast we've done, but it's always like, it's a four-stepper. It's a four-stepper. That's all I got. Like that. That's it. Like they dropping down the like I'm a king, and they're dropping down there like I've only got 4 onions. I know you said 30, but I've got 4 onions, and they're not even onions. They're apples. So. And they're not even apples. They're just like it's just like fingers. I'm just holding up 4 fingers in front of you. So it's not looking good for a lot of people. That's all I'll say. So do you want to say what you've got for?
Yeah, I can start. Reese Witherspoon was in This Means War with Tom Hardy, who is in Star Trek Nemesis with Patrick Stewart, who is in Star Trek Generations with Whoopi Goldberg.
This Means War is an absolutely disgusting film, isn't it? I remember seeing this.
I was wondering about this because I wasn't sure if Whoopi was in any of the films, so I walked backwards on this.
As well. Generations was obviously the one where it brought together the different crews,
right?
So that's how you can make a connection.
Very good.
Can we go back to This Means War? Because I remember watching that film. Like I think Faye was watching it, and it was like, "Oh, you're watching one of your romantic comedies." And I sat there and I thought, "This is a deeply unpleasant film." Is it Chris Pine? Chris Pine,
yeah.
And it's just really unpleasant. And I thought, this isn't good. This is not good. So was that a 4-stepper? Sorry.
3.
3. Okay, what have you got up here? What have you got, Lazlo? Are you looking up or are you looking down?
For my shame, I only have a 4-stepper.
Oh God.
But I kind of like it, so I say it with pride. So Whoopi Goldberg was in Ghost with Patrick Swayze, who was in Dirty Dancing with Jennifer Grey, who was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Matthew Broderick, who was in Election with Reese Witherspoon.
I think Election is a key film for a lot of people. It's a great film as well. Is that is that a 98 as well? 99 maybe?
Yeah.
It feels like a 99 one.
Yeah, it's got to be a long time ago now, isn't it?
So a 4 and a 3. For my shame, I have a 4-stepper. Lee Wiles said this is a long one. Reese Witherspoon is in Just Like Heaven with Mark Ruffalo, who's in The Adam Project with Zoe Saldana, who is in Pirates of the Caribbean with Jonathan Pryce, who's in Jumpin' Jack Flash with Whoopi Goldberg, which is another nice mention of that. Actually, covered that in the last episode. So that's a 4-stepper. Jimmy Automatic says a 2-stepper that I think others will get. Whoopi Goldberg was in Sister Act with Harvey Keitel, who's in Little Nicky with Reese Witherspoon. So he said
Impressive.
that, and so we have got another 2-stepper, but not that route, which is nice. I love the ones with the different routes. Dave Chodkiewski says Reese Witherspoon was in Election with Matthew Broderick, who was in The Lion King with Whoopi Goldberg. That's another 2-stepper. And not my cousin John, but Lazlo's certain cousin John says, well, it's a stinky 4-stepper, but my brain won't allow me to think of anything other than a Star Trek connection now that I've started down that road. So there you go. Whoopi Goldberg is in Star Trek Generations with William Shatner, who's in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan with Leonard Nimoy, who's in Star Trek with Chris Pine, who's in This Means War with Reese Witherspoon. So a worse version of yours, Rupert. Max, our very own Max Celerity says, Weatherspoons is in American Psycho with Leto, who's in Requiem for a Dream with Jennifer Connelly, what she understands is like a family comedy, who's in Hulk with Sam Elliott, who's in Fatal Beauty with Whoopi Goldberg. Or Reese is in Election with Broderick, who's in Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Jennifer Grey, who's in Dirty Dancing with Swayze, who's in Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, that's mine in reverse.
Yeah.
Or Maggie Smith is in Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg. She's also in loads of Potters. A couple of Richard Harrison, who's in Gladiator with Joaquin Phoenix, who's in Walk the Line with Reese Witherspoon.
Okay.
And then he said, I do have a 2-stepper, by the way, but I had to cheat as I only had a vague feeling it might be right. So not for points, but Whoopi and Broderick both do voices in The Lion King, so you can get to Reese via Election in 2. I only had a vague memory that Broderick might be Simba's voice, and he is, which is obviously something that I think Dave Chodkiewski sort of said.
Yep.
So there's a couple of 2-steppers there. Congratulations to the winners. Which takes us to the next AZ. I feel like it should be Sam Neill.
Yes. That's a good choice.
Sam Neill too, and I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, guys. Whichever one.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yep. Done.
Okay, we're fighting the good fight. So Peter Nongo. There we go. Just type that in there. Peter, not good old Pete. Peter Nongo, lovely bloke.
The fact that she's in like a film with 50 other famous people now is probably going to make that a little easier.
I've got a feeling that even I know what that film is, and I think it's by a certain comic behemoth, isn't it? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Oh.
Well, we've talked about it today.
About the Odyssey.
Oh, I was thinking about something else. We won't give too many clues. So, apologies if this sounds a bit different to the last episode. We've had technical issues, but we're going to end now with Max Hilarity's Gag Corner. So if you all just want to cross our hands.
Is this where he makes us gag?
Just bow our heads, close our eyes. The scene in Goldfinger where they cover the girl in paint was filmed near Cheltenham.
Gloucester.
No, some sort of spray paint, probably.